Good morning, students, and welcome to our algebra class. We'll start with our do now. We're going to complete the chart. Today it's kind of about our calm down strategies. Our objective today will be to multiply binomials. We'll slip in a few trinomials at the end there as well, but mostly we're going to multiply binomials by another binomial. And we're going to use a special technique today, and which leads us to our essential question. How do I multiply binomials together, and what is FOIL? F-O-I-L. So I want you to get familiar with that, and we'll memorize that by the end of the class today. Our assignment is to complete the do now, complete the 2 pages of work in the exit ticket, and distance learners, you'll submit your work on Teams. If you are in person with me in the room, you'll show me your work, and that will be sufficient. So please bring your notes to class every day if you're coming in person, and good for you for doing that. Our homework is homework 3, multiplying binomials and trinomials. And with this work that we do today, I want you to be especially careful with the positive and negative signs and with the variables, also with the invisible ones. Think about those too. Okay, remember, if a variable is all by itself, it has a coefficient, invisible coefficient of 1. So this work is not necessarily mathematically difficult, but it is tedious. You know, you have to work slowly and carefully. And if you do that, you'll get it right. So we'll come back to our exit ticket later. So I'm hoping you're looking forward to FOIL already. So would either of these emotion management strategies help you manage stress at school? Well, asking to sit in this calm down corner, burying yourself in schoolwork and ignoring the world. This is the one, I know you might laugh at this. That's the one that's often worked for me. Having a mindful minute, asking for extra help, or what other ideas do you have? And so I'd like, yes, no, or maybe. And then if you have your own idea, put it there. It's good to have that toolkit of things to help you manage emotions and calm down when you need to. So we are reminded today of the March winds. March will be leaving us this week and ushering in April, which is a bit calmer, but certainly usually rainier. So let's get started with multiplying the monomials. So to multiply monomials, we will distribute each term in the first binomial. So in the example we see, we have 2 binomials, x plus 2 and x plus 4. So we'll distribute each term in the first binomial to each term in the second binomial. And then after you do that, you'll need to combine like terms. And one way to do this, to ensure that you don't make any mistakes, to ensure that you don't skip any terms, is called the FOIL method. And FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, and last. So you multiply the first term in the first binomial by the first term in the second binomial. Then you multiply both the outer terms together. So if we're using a plus b equals, is multiplied by c plus d, you'll multiply a by c first, and then a by d. Then you'll multiply b by c, which are the inner terms, and then you'll multiply b times d, which is the last term in each binomial. So first term of each binomial, the outside terms, so that would be the outer left and outer right terms, the inside terms, okay? So that would be the second term of the first binomial, the first term of the second binomial, and then the last term of each binomial. So let's see how this works, okay? So x times x is x squared. That's the first term. The outer terms are x times 4, which is 4x, and those are both positive, so we have a positive 4x. Then we've got the inner terms, 2 times x, and they're both positive, 2x. And then we have the last terms, 2 times 4, and that's positive 8, excuse me. So now, what can we combine? Well, very often we can combine these two center terms. we have 4x plus 2x. It may not always be exactly like this, so you want to make sure you read your terms carefully. So combined like terms, we have x squared plus 4x plus 2x, 6x plus 8, and our final answer in this case is a trinomial. And usually that's what happens, but not often, not always. So let's look at the subtraction example. You really need to watch the signs, okay? This is what you have to be careful about. So 2x times x is 2x squared. Those are our inner terms. The outer terms, 2x times negative 5 is negative 10x. Inner terms, 1 times x is just 1x. And if you want, you can put the invisible 1. We'll get rid of it later when we finalize the answer. And 1 times negative 5 is minus 5. All right, let's put the terms together that are like terms. So we've got negative 10x plus 1x can combine for negative 9x. So our final answer, 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. And even though polynomials are a little bit tedious, I've found through the years students enjoy this lesson. They really like learning about FOIL. So I hope you enjoy it as well. So why don't you try a few? Why don't you try at least 4 of them and then come back to the video and let's see how you did. Okay, so I hope you tried them on your own. So let's work together. First, our first terms, we have y times y. We have y squared plus y, which is first outer 1 times y is just 1y. Inner 8 times y, positive 8y. Last, 8 times 1 is 8. We can combine the two y terms in the center for y squared plus 9y plus 8. Okay, number 2, be careful. We've got a subtraction in here. So our first round, k times k, k squared plus 5k. That's our outer, minus 4k, that's our inner, minus 20, and we can combine these, which will give us k squared plus k, that's just 1k, minus 20. Number 3, first terms, x squared, outer terms for negative 4x. Remember, this x is positive right there. Inner terms, negative 10x. And last terms, which in this case are just simply the constants, negative 10 times negative 4 is a positive 40. And we have like terms in the middle. So negative 4 minus 10 is negative 14x plus 40. And number 4, x squared, outer minus 2x, inner plus 2x, last negative 4. Now look carefully. What happens here? Positive 2x minus 2x. Those will cancel each other out, and our final answer is x squared minus 4. So try the next 4. They're getting a little more tricky, and then come back to the video, please. Okay, so here we go with number 5, 6, 7, and 8. Number 5, our first terms, 4x times x is 4x squared. Our outer terms, 4x times 3, they're both positive, is positive 12x. Our inner terms, negative 7x. And our constants, negative 7 times 3, negative 21. We combine the x's, and we have 4x squared plus 5x minus 21. And number 6, multiply n times 5n is 5n squared. Remember, we're adding exponents here, right? Outer, negative 4 times n is minus 4n. Inner, negative 1 times 5n is negative 5n. Negative 1 times negative 4 is a positive 4. And we have, as our final answer, 5n squared. Negative 4n minus 5n is negative 9n plus 4. Number 7, 3y times 3y is 9y squared. 3y times positive 2 is 6y. 3y times 1, we have a positive 3y, and 2 times 1 is a positive 2. We have like terms in the middle. That gives us 9y squared. This is a positive, plus 9y plus 2. And number 8, 6a times 2a is 12a squared. 6a times 3, we have a positive 18a. 2 times 2a is positive 4a, and 2 times 3 is 6. And we can combine this 18a plus 4a, so that would be 12a squared plus 22a plus 6. So go ahead and try 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I hope you're kind of getting into the rhythm of it, but don't get too complacent. They change up a little bit. So the subtraction, we have subtraction. Now, what do you see how the signs work when we have two subtractions? Excuse me. 8 times 3, that's 24h squared. 8h times negative 1 is negative 8h. Negative 3 times 3h is negative 9h. Negative 3 times negative 1 is a positive 3. We combine the center. That gives us 24h squared. Negative h minus 9 is negative 17h. Then we have our constant of plus 3 at the end. Number 10, 3w times 3w is 9w squared. 3w times negative 1 is negative 3w. 1 times 3w is positive 3w. Positive 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Now, the 3w's will cancel. Positive 3 and negative 3 will cancel each other out. That gives us 9w squared minus 1. Number 11. So do you see any patterns yet? When you have two negatives here, what do you end up with here? When you have a negative and a positive here, what can you end up with? When you have two positives, what do you end up with for signs? So start looking for those patterns because they're going to help you when we get to quadratics. So 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times negative 1y. Okay, be very careful there. Now we've got x and y. So it's negative 5xy. The inner 4y times x, it's a positive 4x. x, y, and positive 4y times negative y is negative 4y squared. Now we do have like terms in the center. We have negative 5 plus 4, so that will give us negative 1 on the xy's. So we have 5x squared minus xy, that's an invisible negative 1, minus 4y squared. And you see that it is automatically written in standard form. ABC order, higher exponents first. So we take care of all of the x's before we start with the y's. This y came along with the x, that's why it's in the middle. So number 12, 2a times a is 2a squared. 2a times negative 4 is negative 4b is negative 8ab. Positive 5b times a is positive 5ab. And then positive 5 times negative 4, and they're both b, so that would be 20b squared. This is very close to the pattern that we had in number 11, not with the signs, but with a and b instead of x and y. So I really want you to pay attention to these patterns as they evolve. So negative ab plus 5ab is 3ab. So we have our 2a squared minus 3ab minus 20b squared. Okay, so let's move on to a few more. Number 13, 2r times 2r is 4r squared. 2r times negative s is negative 2rs. S times 2r, and they're both positive, is positive 2rs. And s, positive s times negative s is negative s squared. So we've seen this now a couple of times. These terms in the middle will cancel each other out. And our final answer, 4r squared minus s squared. Okay, number 14. So 4c times 7c is 28c squared. 4c times negative 2d is negative 8cd. D times 7c is positive, and they're both positive, positive 7cd. And then d times negative 2d, that would be negative 2d squared. And in the middle, we've got negative 8 plus 7, which will be negative 1. So our final answer, 28c squared minus 1cd, and that's an invisible 1, minus 2d squared. Okay, number 15. Look what they've done. They have x plus 4 squared. So let's just write it out. X plus 4 times x plus 4. So then we do our first outer, inner, last. So that would be x times x, x squared. X times 4 would be, that's positive 4x. And now the inner terms, positive 4 times positive x is another positive 4x. And then 4 times 4, positive 16. We combine the like terms in the center. X squared plus 8x plus 16. And similarly with number 16, p minus 7 times p minus 7. So p times p is p squared. p times negative 7 is negative p. Again, p times negative 7, our inner terms, is negative, forgot to put my 7 here, is negative p7. And negative 7 times negative 7 is positive 49. So we'll combine like terms. In the center, we have negative p7. I should have written that 7p. Not incorrect, but not perfect, so I'm going to rewrite that. So we'll combine those for a negative 14p, so it's p squared minus 14p plus 49. And let's move on to 17 and 18. So we're going to go ahead and write this out. 2m minus 5 times 2m minus 5. 2m times 2m is 4m squared. 2m times negative 5 is negative 10m. Negative 5 times 2m for the inner terms, again, is negative 10m. And negative 5 times negative 5 is a positive 25. We combine the like terms in the center for 4m squared minus 20m plus 25. So I hope you're starting to see kind of a pattern here. X plus 4 squared gave us x squared plus 8x plus 16. P minus 7 squared gave us p squared minus 14p plus 49. 2m minus 5 gave us 4m squared minus 20m plus 25. So start looking for patterns here. Let's do number 18. A plus 3b times a plus 3b. So we'll start with those first terms, a times a, which is a squared, and outer a times 3b is positive 3ab, and inner 3b times a is another positive 3ab, and then 3b times 3b, they're both positive, is a positive 9b squared. We combine the center, which will give us a squared plus 6ab plus 9b squared. So now we're going to try to multiply a binomial by a trinomial. Similar method, we can't call it FOIL because it's a little more than that, but we want to make sure that we multiply each of the terms in the first binomial by each of the 3 terms in the second binomial. It's kind of like the distributive property on steroids. And we're also going to put our final answers in standard form. So x times x squared is x to the third. I think I'm just going to go straight through in all of the first terms of the binomial by all the terms in the trinomial, and then I'll do all the second terms in the first binomial by all the terms in the trinomial. So x times x squared is x to the third. X times 3x is 3x squared. They're both positive. And x times negative 6 will be negative 6x. Now, I'm going to change the color here. Now I'm going to do the 4 times x squared, and they're both positive, so it's positive 4x squared. And now the 4 times the 3x, which would be positive 12x, and then the 4 times the negative 6, which would be negative 24. So what can we combine and what can't be combined? Well, the only term we have in the x's, x to the third, is this one term in the beginning. So we definitely start with that. Then we have 3x squared plus 4x squared over here. So 3x squared plus 4x squared, that's a positive 7x squared. We have negative 6x plus 12x, so that's going to be a positive 6x. And then we have our constant of negative 24. And that's our final answer, and that's written in standard form. So take a deep breath and try number 20 on your own. So I'll start with the k. K times k squared is k to the third. K times negative k is negative k squared. And then k times negative 8 is negative 8k. So now I'm going to go ahead and multiply the second term. Negative 5 times k squared is negative 5k squared. Negative 5 times negative k is positive 5k. And then negative 5 times negative 8 is positive 40. So what can we combine? Well, first we have this k to the third. We definitely start out with that. Then we have negative k squared minus 5k squared. So that's an invisible 1 here. Negative 1 minus 5 is negative 6k squared. And then we have negative 8k plus 5k, so that's negative 3k. And then we have our coefficient of 40. And there you have our final answer. So try number 21 and 22. Let's see how you do. Okay, number 21. So 3a times 5a squared will be 15a to the third. 3a times 2a will be positive 6a squared. 3a times negative 6, negative 18a. Now let's work on the second term in the binomial. 1 times negative 5a squared, that's a positive 5a squared. 1 times positive 2a is positive 2a, and positive 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. So we'll start out with our 15a to the third, and then we can combine 6a squared plus 5a squared, which is a positive 11a squared. And then our negative 18a plus 2a is negative 16a. And then we have our constant at the end of negative 6. Okay, number 22. 2v times 4v squared is 8v to the third. 2v times negative 3v is negative 6v squared. 2v times negative 6 is negative 12v. 3 times 4v squared is a positive 12v squared. 3 times negative 3v is negative 9v. 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. So we'll start with our 8v to the third. We can combine negative 6v squared with positive 12b squared to give us a positive 6b squared. We can combine negative 12v minus 9v for negative 21v. And then we have our constant of negative 18. So we have a geometric application here. We're going to find the area of the shaded portion. So what we're going to do is area of the inside minus the area, area outside minus area of the inside. Sorry, I wrote that wrong. So the area of the outer box, this outer box minus, and let's color code this for you, minus the area of the inner box. So that would be the pink one. So let's start with the area of the outer box. So the outer box is 2x minus 7 by 9x minus 2. Remember, area equals length times width. So we've got 2x plus 7 times 9x minus 2. And that's the area of the outer box. Now we're going to subtract the area of the inner box. The inner box is 3x times x plus 12. So we've got to solve each of these problems first. After we solve these problems, then we subtract them from each other. So we're going to be multiplying binomials in the first one. So first, 9 times 2 is 18x squared, 2x times 9x. Now, outer 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. Inner 7 times 9x is positive 63x. Put the 3. And positive 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. And from that, we will subtract. 3x times x is 3x squared. And 3x times 12 is 3x times 12 is 36x positive. All right, now we subtract. So 18x squared minus 3x squared. Only add and subtract like terms, remember. That's all. So 18 minus 3 is 15x squared. So here we have 4x, negative 4x plus 63x, okay? So we can combine those. That would be 63 minus 4, that would be 59x. And we are subtracting from that 36x. So 59, positive 59 minus a positive 36 is positive 23x. And negative 14 does not have another term that we can subtract, so we just bring that down, and this is our final answer. This is the area of what I'm shading now as the pink shaded region. So good job today. Let's go back to our exit ticket. What is FOIL and how does it work? FOIL is a way to multiply binomials. And how does it work? Multiply the first term the outer terms the inner terms and then the last terms. And when you're done all that, then combine like terms where you can. So good job today. If you finish early or if you are just looking for a 5-minute break, we've got a little mindful arts activity where you can label the leaves with your stressors and let them blow away in the spring breeze. And we have some calm down strategies in the form of mixed words. You can unmix those. And also, here is your homework tonight multiplying binomials and trinomials. So, good job today. This is often kind of a favorite lesson in algebra, so I hope you enjoy it. Just work slowly and carefully. Keep practicing, and as you work hard, you'll be great.